Well, there's a myriad of things. I think first of all we have to go back to
Writer, you are very well known for your teaching skills. Your students speak a whole lot about you. Miss Nigeria competition.
And I said, let's pick them up. Let's take them back to Nigeria and let's teach them a different kind of job.
Now, yearly we celebrate different things in the society. One of them is the World Cancer Day. This year, it has a special theme. It says, I am and I will. It means a whole lot. For us here on this platform, we celebrate women who have gone through it, women who are at the moment with it, and we always seek to encourage ourselves whatever we do. I have a special story to tell you. It's a story of a survival. Someone who has great resilience, someone who says, everyone may condemn or feel scared of the cancer virus, but if it happens, you should be able to get up and keep moving because it is not a death sentence. Chioma Ikejiani is celebrating 5 years of cancer-free. Let's see this. I don't think in gender boxes at all. I just get on with it.
A man that would dare to ask the wife, who do you think you are? That is a real man.
In fact, our husbands are our firstborns. The husband needs more attention than even the children.
It's not only about work, it's not only about family. They need to take the time to look after themselves, and we don't do that.
They took my money, I paid every fees. I never asked to be hoisted as a governor. I wanted to be allowed to go out there and contest for the position of governorship candidate first.
There's nothing greater than looking back and seeing that while you were aspiring, you were able to inspire others.
Empowered to women.
Yes,
we need to have more women, more multitaskers around Nigeria to get Nigeria working.
Definitely.
So when I came to Nigeria, exactly 2 years to the date, that takes me to 2016, my doctor called. And prior to that, I remember I felt a lump on my right breast, but I ignored it because it was silent. It didn't do anything. It didn't hurt me. There wasn't any pus. It was just there. And then my doctor called me and said, oh, I'm reminding you of a mammogram. And I said, oh my God, when am I going to do a mammogram? And I remember meeting my a friend in Turkish hospital. So I went to visit her and I said, oh my God, this looks like the perfect hospital to have not only a mammogram, but I'm just going to do a whole self-examination. I'm just going to let them check me out and whatever happens, happens. So, and I remember walking in, never imagined that would be the beginning of a life change for me. And so basically what happened was they did a biopsy, and interestingly, the first report said that it was negative. But I had a very experienced doctor, which matters, and he said, are you feeling pain underneath your arms? And I said, yeah, but I thought I was menopausal. And so there's no, it didn't have anything to do with cancer. He said, no, I am personally going to do this biopsy. So I had to go into the theater again. They did a biopsy, and you know what, when the report came back, it was cancerous. And you know, when I say that, I couldn't say this 5 years ago because I'm celebrating 5 years of being in remission, of being cancer free. But back then, I always ignored the word of cancer. And so when he told me that I had cancer, I was in shock. He threw so much information and I couldn't even listen. All I kept on thinking is, oh my God, I have cancer. What does that mean? And 48 hours of having that diagnosis, I said to my doctor, we have got to do whatever we need to do to get rid of it. And so I came back into the hospital and I ended up staying overnight from removing the lump. But my doctor said something that was really interesting, because for a lot of us that have cancer, and once the lump is taken out, we think it's over. No, that's the beginning of the journey. So my doctor said to me, you're going to have to have chemotherapy. You may actually have to do radiation. So I said, piece of cake, no problems. I had no idea the ecosystem of being a cancer patient. So what does that mean? It meant that at that time in 2016, they didn't have, in order for me to do it in Nigeria, I would have to wait a long time. And we were scared that I would have cells or tumors that would be spreading rapidly, because we just didn't know what stage of cancer I had developed. So my doctor told me that since I'm a Canadian citizen, it is advisable to get back to Canada and start effective immediately, do a chemotherapy treatment. When I went there, from the time I was taken in to do an MRI, from the time I could get home, I got a phone call on my cell phone. Madam Chioma, you have to return back to the hospital. We need to see you immediately. So my heart started beating because it's like, oh my God, what did they see? When I saw my oncologist, Phil Bernard, he said to me, I don't know how to break this to you, but you are a stage 4 cancer. That's what we're staging you. And I said, what does that mean? It means that the cancer, which started at your breast, has now gone to your chest wall. It has gone to your liver, and it has gone into your lungs. It has basically metastasized, and it's all over your body. So we need to start treatment right away. And I remember looking at him, and I could see his words moving, but I couldn't even understand what he was talking about. So I went to my own general practitioner doctor, and she sat me down, and she said, Chioma, this is not a big deal. Cancer is an aging, disease, and we can deal with it. Just do exactly what your doctor tells you to do. And that's exactly what I did. I decided that I was going to take this on as a project. I was going to survive. I would not allow this foreign element that came into my body destroy me. So I said, I am going to fight this with 2 most powerful agents, which is prayer and science. So I came back to my doctor and I said, I'm ready. So he said, you're probably going to have to do 4 cycles of chemotherapy. Ironically, I ended up doing 9 cycles of chemotherapy. I lost my hair. I went bald. I didn't get sick, which was interesting. And I remember thinking that for every chemo that was pumped into my body was destroying those tumors. And when I came home at night, in order for me to feel spiritually connected to my Creator, for the very first time in my life, I grabbed the Bible and I started to read. All I kept on thinking about is, I am going to survive. And I remember the first time the doctor said, okay, we're going to do an MRI just to see whether this diagnosis is going to work. And I remember when the doctor walked into the office and he said, I'm happy. And I said, what are you happy about? He said, your tumors have shrunk from 11 to 5. And they went from 5 to 3. And they went from 3 to they disappeared. It's unheard of. Someone that has a stage 4 cancer diagnosis hardly survives. why did I survive? I survived because in everything that I did from the first time that I was diagnosed, yes, in Nigeria, it was Nigeria that diagnosed me. It was Nigeria that first treated me. So Nigeria has the capacity to save lives. The problem in Nigeria is that we often are too afraid and we do not come into the hospitals and get diagnosed. We certainly are too afraid to do self-examination. So these are the things that I want to say that Nigeria saved my life. So that has been my journey, and I am celebrating 5 years of being cancer-free as a stage 4 survivor. You know, what happens is when you get diagnosed of cancer, when you get diagnosed and the doctor says to you, I don't know why you're talking about traveling. you should be cleaning up your life. You should buy a plot of land. You should do your will. And you should think about the possibility of what happens when you die. So I never for a moment imagined that I would, celebrate 59. Everything becomes an urgency. But I always believed that I would be an advocate, that God had given me, had been so graceful to have given me not only the ability to survive, but the ability to be well, because there's so many people that survive and they're not well. Why do I say that? For example, having survived cancer, it doesn't mean that it's over. It means that there are things that I have to do to keep the cancer from developing. Too often, the mistake that we make is that once you feel great and once you survive your 1 year, 2 year, 3, you say to yourself, oh, you know what? I'm not going to take those treatment drugs because they're too expensive and I feel good. So I don't think I'm going to take it. But what has kept me alive and what has kept me well, because that's what people comment, Chioma, you look so well, you don't look like a cancer survivor, is the fact that unfailingly, I am on a 21-day maintenance cancer drug treatment regime. My cancer is called HER2 positive. It's one of the most aggressive breast cancers that is out there. So in order to stop this cancer from growing, because I produce too much estrogen, the Herceptin and the projector drugs that I take, they bind, so they keep my body in a pH balance from overproducing estrogen that produces the tumors. That's the job. So I have no choice but to take these drugs. And from the last analysis that I had with my doctor, I have to take this drug for life until they come up with something else, maybe in 5, 10, 15 years. But as long as I breathe life, there are two things that are faithful to me: my belief in the Lord for giving me grace, and the science of Herceptin and Projecta that the pharmaceutical companies have produced. And the pharmaceutical companies, by the way, have come up with a lower drugs, sub-Sahara. When you look at Nigeria is one of those countries that was grateful enough that they negotiated that the drugs be lower. But even though it is lower, those drugs are still out of the reach of thousands of women that are diagnosed every year. So every year, if 100,000 women are diagnosed with cancer, how many of those women can afford the drugs that you need to take to stay alive? So I want to appeal to the government, to the Minister of Health, to my National Assembly legislators, particularly those that are in charge of oversight in National Assembly for the health sector. I am appealing to you that I am a survivor because I fought like hell to be alive. And I also had angels that believed in me. And I am appealing to you to come up with those policies, to come up with those legislative documents that can make those drugs affordable to us. Now, so many people have said to me, Chioma, how do you deal with COVID-19 being a stage 4 cancer survivor? How have you been able to live within the pandemic? I mask up, I wash my hands, and I do practice social distance. As a cancer survivor, stage 4, it is no longer about anybody else around me that is asymptomatic. It is about me that has put my body at risk, in stress, and I survived. I don't want to put my body in another stress. So if I was diabetic, I would be in trouble. I'm a cancer survivor, so when I tell people to mask up around me, sometimes they get angry, but you know what? When I explain it to them, they comply. So that's how I deal with the pandemic. You know, it's interesting. It's only a woman that understands her body best. And for some of us, whether it's in our quiet moment, the first thing, any woman that is watching this, it's really important to do self-examination. Self-examination, you put your right hand up, you put your hand here, and you cups your breast, and you feel as if there's a lump. Is there a lump? Is there a lump? Do you feel this? Do you feel this? That is the first step. If you feel any lump, you have the responsibility, not to yourself, but to your family, to your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your children, your husband, your co-workers. You have that responsibility to get tested, to do a mammogram. You know, I always say to women, cancer, for me, is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I embrace it because I've become a better person. There is an urgency to life. I am more aware of my mortality. I have to be kinder because God has been so good to me. So having cancer, ladies and gentlemen, it is never a death sentence. It is the beginning of an amazing life that God has written for you. It's so interesting. When I found out that I had cancer, and then I found out the drugs I was taking, like Herceptin, I went online and I saw what food should I eat if I'm taking Herceptin or Projecta. So I have completely changed my lifestyle. I would tell you that prior to cancer, I was heavier. I was a little fatter. I didn't pay attention. I ate all junk food. I have a sweet tooth. But surviving cancer made me have a change of lifestyle. I eat well. I eat proper. I eat vegetables. I'm very aware of what goes inside my mouth. So I do ginger, I do garlic, I do vegetables, green tea, vegetable soup, salads. Nigeria is the best because this is organic. It's organic in nature, which means that it's on the earth. It comes from the soil. I don't eat meat. I eat stockfish. I eat fish, and I love snails. Snails have amazing anti-cancer fighting agents. And so it's been highly recommended, and luckily I love it. So I eat a lot of snails. So the food is one of the things that I've changed, and I feel that you are what you eat. And because I've changed my eating, it's giving me more energy. So I've started running half marathon. I work out. When I got into my 50s, I wanted to look 30, and I knew that I had to work out. And so that's sort of the lifestyle things that I have incorporated in my life. And I continue to say that getting cancer was really the best thing that has ever happened to me. It has made me such a better person. I am more driven in my work, in everything that I do, and I'm so very appreciative of the privilege that I have to live on this earth. It is a privilege. It is no longer a right for me.
I don't think in gender boxes at all. I just get on with it.
A man that would dare to ask the wife, who do you think you are? That is a real man.
In fact, our husbands are our firstborns. The husband needs more attention than even the children.
It's not only about work, it's not only about family. They need to take the time to look after themselves, and we don't do that.
They took my money. I paid every fees. I never asked to be hoisted as a governor. I wanted to be allowed to go out there and contest for the position of governorship candidate first.
There's nothing greater than looking back and seeing that while you were aspiring, you were able to inspire others.
Empowered to women.
Yes,
we need to have more women, more multitaskers around Nigeria to get Nigeria working.
Definitely. Amazing story, isn't it? And it's quite touching. For me, I have learned a whole lot. I've learned to stay overboard. No matter what I meet, I'll never be deterred. I'll keep looking forward. I'll keep staying focused. And I want to believe you're doing the same. Chioma just recently turned 59 and living with cancer, it's amazing. Let's learn from her story and, apply it in different facets of our lives. Be it your work, your relationship, whatever it is, your health, very important. We should all apply what we have learned today and move on. And just before I go, I'd like to remind all of us that whatever is what, ensure you love yourself a little bit more. Do the self-examination, and when it is possible, please go for a thorough checkup. You never can tell you might just be saving your life ahead of time. I'll see you again next week when I bring you another exciting personality. Once again, I am Elizabeth Abwai. Stay safe.